guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when I post a new video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how much it costs to own a horse and to maintain having a horse, because it is very expensive, and I know that this is something a lot of new time horse owners want to know beforehand so they can kind of budget how much they're going to be spending each month. I hope that this is helpful to anyone who is new to the equestrian world, or if you're buying a horse for the first time and you just want to know how much you should be spending each month. If this is helpful, make sure to give the video a like and also make sure that you are subscribed. Let's get into it. So I'm going to break this down into categories to make it easier, and we'll go over some of the things that you will have to take into consideration when you are budgeting out your expenses. First category I'm going to talk about is boarding. So if you don't own your own horse property, or you don't have somewhere at home to keep your horse, you're obviously going to have to keep your horse at a boarding facility. Now, every boarding facility is different. This is going to vary depending on your location, where you live. For me, I'm in California. Things are pretty expensive here, so boarding can get very, very pricey. Just from what I've seen in my area, boarding can honestly go anywhere from like $300, which is really, really good if you're finding board for that cheap. And I've also seen it go up closer to around $800. So again, this is going to vary depending on your location and also just what the facility has to provide. Make sure that you do a lot of research on the boarding facility to see what is included with the price every month, and also just make sure that you are finding something that is within your price range and isn't too expensive. The next category that we're going to talk about is feed. Most of the time, if you are boarding your horse at a facility, they will include just like standard hay, so like alfalfa usually comes with the price of board. Some places have people that will feed your horses every morning. Other places may require you to self-feed, but I feel like for the most part, usually a boarding facility will have people that feed the horses every morning. Some horses need extra supplements, dietary things that other horses may not really need. If your horse is on supplements, this is obviously going to be an additional cost to feed every month. My old horse that I had, he was a little bit older, so I had him on Purina Equine Senior, and I believe that was like $22 a bag or something like that. And then he was also on alfalfa cubes, which were basically just dried up hay cubes that we would have to soak in water, but I would have to buy those from a feed store. So every like 2 weeks I would be spending like around $40 on both of those items, so it came out to about $80 a month. Again, it's really going to differ from horse to horse. Most of the time your vet will recommend, if they want your horse to be on a certain type of supplement, make sure that if your horse is going to be on supplements or just additional feed, that you are budgeting that into your monthly budget. Next, we're going to talk about farriers. Now, some horses have shoes, some horses don't have shoes. This is usually something that your vet will recommend if they think your horse needs shoes. Also, if you're purchasing your horse from somebody, they may recommend keeping the horse with shoes. It really just depends on the specific horse. In the past, I had a horse who didn't have shoes, I had a horse that did have shoes, and they just needed different things because they were different horses. So again, it's going to vary. It's like a very reoccurring theme in this video, me saying it's going to vary, but it really is going to specifically depend on your horse. If your horse does have shoes, approximately every 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to need to have a farrier come out to switch out the shoes and also file down your horse's hooves. If your horse doesn't have shoes, you're still going to want to have a farrier come out and file down your horse's hooves so that they aren't tripping over their own feet. I had a horse in the past who had really fancy shoes. They had like a pad on the bottom because he had really sensitive feet, and those were more expensive than obviously like just your generic regular horseshoe. So that was more expensive for his farrier visit. But then again, I did have horses that just had like standard horseshoes, and it was a lot cheaper. So It's going to vary. Just expect every 4 to 6 weeks to have a farrier to come out, and it will probably cost anywhere from $100 to $150 just for like a generic farrier visit. Also, make sure that you find a farrier that is skilled and reliable. It is so important to have somebody who knows what they are doing because your horse's feet are so important, obviously, and you don't want anything going wrong. I highly recommend doing a lot of research about farriers in your area, looking up reviews, and just making sure that you're finding someone who is going to take the best care of your horse. Next, we're going to talk about vet bills. This is a fun one. Vet bills can be very, very expensive. This isn't necessarily something your horse is going to need every month. This is more of an annual cost. It's always important to be prepared for any sort of situation that could end up costing you a lot of money. Accidents happen, especially with horses, and sometimes you're not expecting to pay, certain vet bills, but you have to because you need help for your horse. Annually, your horse is going to need a vet exam, dental care, deworming, and vaccines. Now this is all going to be spread out over 1 year. And again, it's going to vary from horse to horse. I feel like a broken record saying that, but again, like certain horses need certain things. Not every horse is the same. Make sure that you do get your horse's vet records from whoever you're buying the horse from, and make sure that you are keeping up with all of the vaccines and all of the exams that they need. Expenses are going to vary depending on each vet clinic. So make sure that you're finding somebody, again, kind of like with the farrier, you're finding a vet that you trust and that has affordable, like reasonable prices. On average, you're probably going to end up spending anywhere from $400 to $600 a year on vet bills, and it could be way more than that. There's a good chance that it probably could if your horse needs extra exams or vaccines. So just make sure that you are, again, taking that into consideration. Problems happen, things come up that we have to take care of for our horses, and it's better to just already have that kind of idea in your head that you're going to be spending more money, because it won't be as much of a surprise. The last category that I want to talk about is just kind of like what I call the other category, just with everything else that's kind of random. We love to buy tack for our horses, apparel for ourselves. Every month, I'm sure you're probably gonna wanna buy like little things for your horse, like maybe a nice new halter, or maybe you wanna buy a pair of breeches for yourself. Like, just within the riding category, I feel like there are always things every month that are so tempting to buy, even if we don't necessarily need them. It's kind of just like with our own day-to-day lives. We like to have money that we can spend on ourselves. It's the same with our horses. So definitely have a little bit of wiggle room within your budget to buy things like that. If you are taking lessons or you are in any training programs, you're gonna wanna also add that into your monthly cost. If you're thinking about taking lessons, again, it's going to depend on your trainer, but I feel like for the most part, lessons usually start around like $50 a lesson, and they can go up from there. Maybe yours are a little cheaper, maybe they're a little bit more expensive, I don't know, every trainer is different. I highly do recommend taking lessons if you are new to riding and you are purchasing a horse, just so that you have some guidance and you can learn the fundamentals of riding. I think you should definitely do that 100% if you are purchasing a horse for the first time. There are so many factors that play into your overall monthly cost, so it's going to be different for everybody. If we're being real, I feel like maybe it's going to be on the higher end if you are like purchasing a horse for the first time. Just make sure that you are doing your own research. Don't just take my word for it. Don't just wing it if you are on the fence and if you don't know if you can afford to have a horse. It's better to be safe and wait until you are financially in a place where you can afford one, because it really is hard when you have a horse and then you realize, oh my gosh, I can't afford this, and then you have to sell the horse. It's gonna save you a lot of money and a lot of heartbreak if you just wait until you are in a better position to own one. It's kind of like what I'm doing right now. I am not in a place where I can afford to have a horse right now, even though I want one so bad. So I'm waiting until I can afford that again in the future. I hope this was helpful. If you guys want to see any more videos on budgeting or just anything that has to do with first-time purchases, whatever it could be, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.